Most targeted individuals, and most people for that matter, thought our greatest fears were about career and money. Then we got hit by a giant truck called ontological shock. We found out our entire lives were an illusion once we learned about what our world leaders had been doing, that aliens were probably real, that E-Island was a real thing, and that people really were being targeted by some group. Most of us didn't believe any of this stuff. 20 years ago, almost no one cared if aliens existed. You couldn't say those towers were knocked down on purpose, and you certainly wouldn't dare to think that those mind control experiments were really being done by the government. The worldwide jab changed a lot of us, and now things are getting really crazy. Now you scroll social media, and it's unbelievable the things that we're starting to believe. The ontological shock is worse for those of us who thought that life was simple. The founders of Parawareness started experiencing strange stuff, life-changing stuff, and it derailed our entire lives. But through the process of being forced to deal with it, we found a better version of ourselves. A version which cared more about helping humans truly evolve, cared more about fighting with every ounce of our strength to transform ourselves into the highest version we could imagine. This is why we changed the name targeted individuals, and we call ourselves tested individuals. And here's how my chatbot defines the word targeted. Aimed precisely toward a particular group, individual, or result rather than being broad or random. Chosen to be reached, influenced, or criticized. Synonyms include focused, intended, tailored, deliberate, pinpointed, customized. And those definitions apply, perfectly to targeted individuals. I know that. I'm not saying you haven't been selected. Something in this world caused you to be different than most people out there, right? We know that. I mean, the fact that this is this is not openly happening to everyone means certain people have been selected in some way, on some level. So yes, you have been targeted according to the definition. But in our culture, certain words take on certain stigma and energy. There are certain words that you choose not to say, even though words are just noises, hardly more than grunts and the flapping of our mouth meat. That's all words really are. Plus, if you're in a different part of the world, try going and talking about your child's fanny over in Europe, in Britain. You'll see what I mean. So, as I see it, the phrase targeted individual it now applies to people who mostly identify themselves, defining themselves by their oppression. At Parawareness, we define ourselves by our strength and our ability to overcome. And yes, for 11 years, I've gone through what felt like torture. And all my life, I had paranormal activity around me. But I have the option to see myself as in the crosshairs of some nefarious group, or I can see myself as in the midst of my life's greatest test. Reframing it this way takes us out of the victim mindset and empowers us. We're putting that energy into the field, into the world, into the galaxy. We're giving that energy to God, to our higher self, to the universe, to source. We're not telling TIs to stop caring about what's happening. If you really watch our videos, we're empowering people and trying to shine a light on what's happening, while also helping people recover from the gnarliest car crash of their lives. So let me read a post that I made on the subreddit Positive TI. It's entitled the Jiu Jitsu method. And so Jiu Jitsu is a fighting style which uses the strength of the opponent against itself. As a TI, causing fear is your opponent's number one strength. By understanding your fear, you can improve your defenses, like in Jiu Jitsu. Every time you experience fear, you're experiencing a roadmap to your weakness. that's where you're vulnerable. That's where they're going to attack you. Look at your fear openly, with honesty and bravery. Now that you can see it, research ways to beat that particular fear and implement strategies to overcome it. Maybe you're the type of person who, like me, appreciates immersion therapy to deal with fear, where you force yourself to experience the difficulty, and over time, you get used to it. You can do this with anything. The beautiful and terrible thing about this world is, no matter what the situation is, you get used to it. This is a quote, just to interject real quick. This is a quote that I made up and I'm very proud of it. So I'll stop for a moment and just say, I think that people can learn a lot from that. Whether it's a beautiful marriage that, a beautiful romance that's only, 6 months old and it's, it's on fire and it's, well, you'll get used to that and it will change. And whatever it is, whether it's a beautiful love or a horrible pain, you do get used to it. So know that, realize that. That's why I say that. The beautiful and terrible thing about this world, it's beautiful and it's terrible, is that no matter what the situation is, you'll get used to it. So no matter what craziness you're experiencing, you will get used to it. So be grateful for your fears. They are the indicators of your weakest parts, your vulnerable places. And instead of pushing them away, bravely appreciate the opportunity they give you and use them to grow stronger. Remember, what you resist persists, and what you look at goes away. I finished that with a quote from one of my favorite books. It's called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And I think that it's a great quote. What you resist persists, and what you look at goes away. And what this means is the fears that you do not face will continue to nag you. When you look at Carl Jung's work and how he talks about the unprocessed traumas and the unprocessed parts of ourselves actually can manifest into our reality, right? That's what one of the founders of psychology as we know it today, that's what he learned in his studies. So, and what you look at goes away. It might not go away just because you look at some attacker or some mugger who's trying to take your money with a knife. Just because you look at him doesn't mean he's going to go away. But the point is that when you face your fears, they lose power, right? So, as Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. That's our number one problem. It's our greatest challenge. The only thing we have to fear is actually being afraid. Why would we be afraid? Do we not have a foundation of beliefs of what's going to happen when we go into the next life? Most people do. And if you do, then why are you so afraid in this world? Don't we believe we're something greater than just this meat suit? Most of us do. Most people have some sort of a belief that we will. Look at the gigantic collection of near-death experiences and astral travelers, out-of-body experiencers. These people show us that their studies and their research shows that there's something else going on here. People like Robert Monroe and Tom Campbell, they show us that this world is so much greater than we understand. And if you think about the size, just the physical size of the universe compared to our planet, if our knowledge of what this world truly is similar in any way to that scale, then we have no idea what's happening here, right? So that we should embrace that and let it bolster us, not cause it to make us afraid. We should let that bolster us and strengthen us, because there's so much more here than we understand, So, and in talking about that, fear affects your health. There's been many studies done that show that, when you wave your hand in the air, this isn't blank space. This is filled with stuff. There's particles. You're waving your hand through matter. and all of that matter connects us. You can cause a vibration to go through the air and bounce off of all of these molecules and hit someone else's ear. You can, when you're talking, you're vibrating the molecules all the way to their ear, and then they hear it, and then you've got things like the law of one that show that we're all, that suggest, not show, not prove, but suggest that we're all connected. We're all one thing. And so when you constantly live in fear, it affects also how others react around you. They can feel your energy. And even if you're not acting outwardly afraid, the thoughts and emotions you carry around, the energy of your field, it affects others. You can see that when somebody walks into a room and they're very, it changes. What do people say? Oh, when that guy walked in, it changed the energy. You know what I mean? And it really does. People can feel your energy. So what energy do you want to give to your fellow humans as you're walking around interacting with them? And by the way, if you are a targeted individual and you're a tested individual and you're not getting out of the house, you're doing it wrong. You've got to spend time around people. We, at Parawareness, we have developed, in conjunction with people like OTIR and other groups, we have learned that there are steps that you can use to actually overcome this experience. The experience won't stop, but you can strengthen yourself in order to continue to live your life in the way that you believe you should. But anyway, so yeah, what energy do you want to give to your fellow humans? Do you want to feed their fear? Is that do you want to carry fear all the time and live in all this fear and then put that on other people whenever you share energy with them? And if so, because some people believe that people need to be afraid right now. If you need to be afraid and you need to try to encourage other people to be afraid, to wake them up, then be that, But do you want to ease their suffering? Is that the energy you're going to carry? That when you look at people who are in suffering, you want to ease that suffering. You want to help them. Then do so. Do that. Do you want them to be stronger? Do you want your fellow humans that you're walking around and interacting with all day long? Do you want them to be stronger? Then make yourself stronger and carry that energy to other people. Carry that energy into the world to share with your fellow humans, right? I mean, the constant internet watching, for most of us, the internet is geared, algorithms are geared to keep you watching. And so what keeps us watching the most? It's fear, right? It's excitement, whatever gets your heart pumping. And you're like, oh, whoa. I mean, if you sit there and scroll all day long and all you see are peaceful scenes of like birds chirping around a nice, beautiful lake during a sunset, you're not going to scroll that and watch, hours of those videos. But if you're watching like cop chases and, these things that get your energy up and get your heart racing and get you excited and you're like, yeah, this is fun. This is a roller coaster. I love riding roller coasters. But if you ride roller coasters all day, I mean, that's fear. You're afraid. That's why you're having fun, is because you're afraid, right? And if you stay in fear all day long, you're hurting yourself. The body, you actually physically hurt your body. So if you've taught your algorithm to feed you fear because you're trying to do your research and find out what's really going on, you're trying to find the answers, that's fine. But I recommend that until you can actually stop scrolling, make another account, switch over to that one and spend some time over there and teach the algorithm on that other account to feed you only peace, only make you laugh, things like that, make you feel love. Because if you don't balance out all this fear with some love, it's going to have a negative effect on you. That's what my research shows, and a lot of people can see that. So, because of the internet, there's a global ontological shock happening right now just because of the internet. It's like the internet created a global community, a community of 8 billion humans where we can barely get along with a group of 20 people in a room, So that shows us we're all going to have to be more accepting of each other and stop squabbling about the minutia, the tiny stuff. Any day, the president could announce that aliens are real and that have been here. Most likely, he'll say that they've been here since before we were. Any day, AI and robotics are going to, combine to take most of our jobs and change our lives completely. We've got to stop caring about the things that don't matter anymore. This is not the same world that we've always known. We should embrace that and see it as an incredible challenge, not embrace our fear and drown in it. Did you hear about the president's meeting with a group of pastors? So the president met with a group of prominent pastors. Check this out. Not a big group, but Perry Stone, Alan Didio, Larry Ragland, Joseph Z., and Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson and Mike Signorelli. And they were all those guys were in a secret meeting with the government, okay? And it was arranged through a private Christian network. The goal was to prevent ontological shock. The officials advised religious leaders that they need to proactively prepare their congregations for disclosure, alien disclosure, right? The fear expressed was that unannounced disclosures could trigger ontological shock, destabilizing public faith, challenging traditional interpretations of human origin, and causing widespread spiritual confusion if pastors do not offer guidance. So my point is, of course, that, if the president is calling for a meeting of pastors to tell them, hey, get your congregations ready because everything's about to change. So today, don't take the scary news. I hope you'll try not to call yourself targeted. Take the scary news and use it to face your fears. Use the time to work on yourself, to understand yourself more fully than you ever have. And of course, remember the quote that I ended my Jiu Jitsu post with: what you resist persists, and what you look at goes away.